I'm Jeff, your realtor, and let's talk about what's going on with electric vehicles. All right. California has not passed a legislation that they are going to be only selling electric cars in California by the year 2035. How realistic is that? Well, we'll see. But now, we also have, right on top of that, Washington now, state, is now willing to follow California in phasing out gas vehicles. What's that going to mean to you? Well, you better learn in order to find out so that you're prepared for it. Let's talk about it. Well, it seems like that it's Washington Governor Jay Inslee said that the state will follow California and prohibit the sale of new gas-powered vehicles by 2035. The specific regulations for Washington state are yet to be created because they have no idea what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But they're going to give it a shot and we'll see what happens. There's a critical milestone for our climate fight. Washington set in law a goal for all new car sales to be zero emissions by 2030, and we're ready to adopt California's regulations by the end of this year. Transportation-related emissions account for more than 40% of greenhouse gases in Washington state. Now, let's going to talk about what happened in California. California's policy passed Wednesday requiring 100% of new sales of passenger vehicles, or trucks, SUVs, etc., to be powered by electricity or hydrogen. I'm surprised nobody's talking about propane. By 2035, with 1/5 allowed to be plug-in hybrids. Why does it have to be a plug-in? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't ban the use of gas-powered cars or the sale of used cars. Not yet. In 2020, Washington lawmakers passed a law directing the State Department of Ecology to adopt California's emission standards as they rolled out. Washington lawmakers this year also set a goal of phasing out sales of new internal combustion-powered cars by 2030. Yay. A state council previously set up by Inslee to plan for the future of electric vehicles held its first meeting in July, in which members discussed building a network of fast charging stations on state highways. The effort will be helped by $71 million donation, I'm sure, or grant or whatever, from the federal government. The state legislature also budgeted $69 million to set up community charging stations for people who don't live in a single-family home. Yeah, that'll be interesting to be able to see. And so that you're going to get an electric car and be in an apartment complex? Good luck. Naturally. Hold, please. So, then we have this. Massachusetts has also already said it will follow California's lead, and more states are likely to. New York and Pennsylvania are among 17 states that have adopted some or all of California's tailpipe emission standards that are stricter than federal rules. Republican Rep, whatever, of Olympia, remember Washington's, whatever, said he plans to push to ban internal combustion engines would hurt both manufacturers and consumers. And it just wouldn't work. I believe the market is best to continue to determine how we transition. Okay, I actually think that's pretty smart. Nearly 20% of all new vehicle registrations in Washington in July were either electric or hybrid, according to data from the Department of Licensing. Wow, that is huge. 20% of all the new vehicles and stuff like that were either electric or hybrids in Washington. That is huge. Let's see what happens in 8 to 10 years when all their batteries die. In total, 104,000 electric vehicles, either fully battery electric or plug-in hybrid electric. Again, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you bother plugging in a hybrid? Just have an alternator running off the motor like we normally have and just charge it. I mean, hell, I've seen people taking Teslas hooked up alternators on the wheels and stuff like that, and just permanently kept recharging the cars. It doesn't make any sense. At least not to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There are around 4.7 million passenger class vehicles in the state, according to the department. I can believe that. People need cars in order to be able to drive around. Now, on top of that, which is actually kind of pretty funny, is that even the Chinese are starting to get into this. In Beijing, all right, the Hainan Island in the South China Sea says it will become China's first region to ban sales of gasoline and diesel-powered cars to curb climate-changing carbon emissions. In China, sales of fossil fuel-powered cars will be banned by 2030, and electric vehicles promoted with tax breaks and by expanding a charging network, the government said. The announcement comes as China struggles through its hottest dry summer in decades, which has wilted crops and shrunk rivers and reservoirs used for generating hydropower. All right, so they're trying to do what they can, but they're also a communist thing, so they can probably get away with it. It's just that I just don't know why that's going to work out for them. I just don't. Now, here's the dark side of all this electric stuff. All right? You like all those dead fish? Yeah. That's because there's this is a poisoning resulted from mining lithium to even make those batteries. Now, it's making these batteries, and it sounds really good, but there's a lot of crap that's involved, and a lot of people just don't understand. They just don't. And this is not a new thing. This is from July of 2020. Nothing has changed. It's only been 2 years. There have been ongoing conversation about the true sustainability of electric vehicles. It's true that EVs are cleaner on the road than traditional gasoline vehicles, but as with anything, there are trade-offs. Yeah, they're not all perfect. Now, these guys say, and here's the short of it for them, is that electric vehicles are powered by lithium-ion batteries. Mining lithium and manufacturing these batteries is water-intensive and contributes to air, soil, and water pollution. So we're trading one pollution for another. But when you look at the bigger picture, EVs are greener overall than gasoline cars when comparing the entire life cycles, including battery production and disposal. So electric car batteries actually reduce our overall environmental impact. They're short of it. All right. That one's, we'll see. But, of course, this doesn't mean that EV batteries do have no environmental impacts at all. All right, we're going to go over the environmental impacts of manufacturing, using, and disposing of electric cars and their batteries. Now, remember that replacing the car batteries on all of these different types of vehicles are expensive. I mean, a lot of money. All right. And here's something that you really need to be able to know, so if you're going to be buying one of these suckers and planning on keeping it. All right? It doesn't matter if it's a Tesla or anybody else. Batteries aren't meant to last forever. All right? Now, before we get started, it's important to understand the life cycle of an average electric vehicle. Every vehicle, whether it's gasoline powered or electric, needs exterior body panels, a chassis, an interior. However, when it comes down to the construction of an electric vehicle, there are major differences in the way the car's powertrain is built. As you know, the EV draws power from this battery pack. All right, these are all batteries. Don't you love these batteries? This is a beautiful battery system, isn't it? It's just beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. All right. But anyways, and so all during the time electric cars on the road, these batteries require electricity that may or may not be sustainably sourced. Then there's the additive environmental cost of disposing or recycling battery packs in EVs. All right. Most EVs, including Tesla, Nissan, Chevy Bolts, blah, 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 come standard with an 8-year battery warranty, about 100,000 miles or just 8 years. That guarantees an adequate charge/range capacity. Now remember, all this stuff doesn't, mean anything. So especially if you get into a car wreck or any number of things, whatever, that can damage anything. If everything runs great, you're generally talking about 8 years. That's what their general lifespan is. All right. Just like when you get a battery, a couple double A's and you're buying them. Oh, this will last 10 years. All right. What's the reality? Well, they're not even sure what the reality is. It's too new. But we'll find out. But they're only coming up with 8 years. And then you want to spend another $5,000 to $25,000 on getting new batteries for it? Most people would say nope. However, EV battery packs usually last much longer than just the warranty date. How would they know? They even say if properly maintained, they should last the full lifespan of an EV, about 17 years or 200,000 miles. That's an interesting guess you got there. Without having its range overly restricted, of course. All right, according to an estimate by Consumer Reports. However, if improperly maintained, then you may have to replace the battery packs or scrap your car prematurely, which could mean more harm to the environment. All right. Well, they might be cleaner to run during their almost 2 decades of possible, that's what they're not saying, possible road time. The production and disposal of electric vehicles demand a closer look. Now, here's the interesting part. Life cycle analysis comparison between electric and gasoline vehicles. According to a report from the Union of Concerned Scientists, they sound pretty, soft. All right, the production of a full-size, long-range electric vehicle, similar to a Tesla Model S, has about 6 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions, or 68% higher than the production of a comparable gasoline car. Most of these increased emissions come from battery manufacturing and resource extraction for the battery. The mining of the lithium. Not necessarily once when it's put in the vehicle, but most of this is just consumed just by mining it and then getting all the impurities out and stripping all that stuff away from the lithium. So, do all your carbon emissions and all, and poisoning and everything else of it before you even get to the car, just to make the car. However, even with increased manufacturing emissions, the average EV is still better for the environment than a comparable gasoline car when you consider their lifetime CO2 equivalent emissions in the United States. All right, we got a little graph right here. Life cycle global warming emissions, grams of CO2 per mile. Mid-sized gasoline car. Mid-sized 84-mile BEV. BEV. Oh, it must. Okay. So that's one's just with a battery, I guess. Oh no, wait a minute. That's also got vehicle manufacturing, and then operations. Okay, so mid-sized gasoline car. All right. Well, while driving and everything else of it, manufacturing it will be this much. Operations would get you this far. Now, if you're going to be buying a mid-size 84-mile battery manufacturing thing, battery car, through the life of it, you should be able to reduce your total emissions possibly by 51%. Now remember, that's also stating in their hopes, just like they had up there earlier, is that they hope, and they really do. It's just hope that the batteries will last 20 years. They're not going to last 20 years. Almost none of them are going to last 20 years. Come on, let's face facts. All right, it's called reality. So, in all reality, most of these batteries are going to start to die. Just like, whenever there's, something wrong is going to happen in your car. When all of a sudden your warranty expires. Right? Who hasn't gotten that experience? Please. So then your warranty on that will only be 8 years. So 8 years and 1 day, your batteries are going to die. More than likely. Well, forgive me if I'm wrong, but if they're going to be dying roughly 8 years out of a 20-year cycle, that means that the battery part for manufacturing that stuff means that you're going to have to buy all new batteries for the most part after that. And what about resale? What are you going to be able to trade yours in every 5 years for that in order to try and be able to hopefully pawn it off and whatever for somebody else to be able to get and then hope that those batteries will last even 3 years or even 4 to the next owner? What's your resale value really going to be on that vehicle? Who's going to want to take the risk? Only those desperate are going to be the ones who are going to be at risk. They're the only ones who can, because they are not going to be able to afford these stupid vehicles, not at the prices that they're at. And your resale value is going to be crap because no one's going to be able to afford those stupid things, especially if all of a sudden batteries are about to die. Which basically you might as well just scrap the car. Which again, who wants to be able to go on over and buy one of these when all you're going to do is just scrap it anyways? This can be a hard sell. This can be a very hard sell. Whereas, gasoline powered, who cares? There's plenty of parts. You can be able to fix this stuff up in a heartbeat. People do it all the time. I do it on mine. All right? But we don't have to have these huge expenses. Most of the time and stuff that, you don't have huge expenses. Only when you're unlucky. As like I had my one vehicle, so that it was a Rendezvous. And but it was a decent vehicle, all-wheel drive. Got me around some really interesting places. And I didn't have any problems with the snow and stuff. It was really nice. But certain key parts of the vehicle, all right, are expensive. Not $5,000 or $23,000 for these batteries. No. And that's also that part too. Okay, even as the cars are getting older, parts are going to be wearing out. So then on top of the batteries dying and having to be able to shovel out thousands upon thousands of dollars to be able to replace these batteries, what about other normal parts? How much are they going to cost? You might be seeing whole junkyards just filled with all of these nice, wonderful vehicles that nobody wants and no one will use. I mean, people will part them out, but I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't know. And there's a part that is the most damning about all this, the mining for lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Today's industrial standard electric batteries are made of mainly using lithium, a relatively rare metal. Cobalt and nickel are the two other key ingredients in lithium-ion batteries. Similar to the petroleum used to create perennial fuels like diesel and gasoline, similar to petroleum, to create perennial fuels like diesel and gasoline, these metals must be mined and extracted from the earth. Oh, okay. They're just talking about that earth. Yeah, everything's got to come from the earth, so you got to mine them from the ground. No kidding. You could have just said that easily. Some of the largest lithium deposits on the planet reside in Mexico, South America, and East Asia. That's where they come from. So in these poor parts of the globe, environmentally damaging mining operations can go unchecked in the name of fueling desperate economies. People are desperate for money, so they're going to be willing to throw away all of the safety standards and stuff for mining all this crap. Interesting. Just saying. To create a lithium battery, you need lithium carbonate. This concentrated material comes as a result of refining a raw soup of lithium-containing salts in evaporation pools. Oh, that's not cool. I can already tell, so this is going to be highly, highly poisonous. Pools of mineral-rich brine, water with high concentrations of salt, are left to evaporate until the solid salts can be filtered out. The process is water intensive, using up to 500,000 gallons of water per ton of lithium carbonate. Wow, is that a lot of water you're contaminating and destroying. Making matters worse, the process of refining lithium also uses toxic chemicals like hydrochloric acid, which can leach into the local ecosystems and habitats. Researchers in Nevada found that the population from mining chemicals, the pollution, from mining chemicals has effects on fish as far as 150 miles downstream. And there's their proof. Right over there. Where they're just finding just fish, just belly up, just dying. Even as far as 150 miles downstream. Holy crap. That's a good thing that these things are so eco-friendly. The chemicals and mining processes used inevitably lead to water, soil, and air pollution. Oh, goody. All three. With major implications for the surrounding landscapes and ecosystems. Moreover, the rise of lithium has created interest from foreign governments in these areas these deposits are found. No kidding. Some have even speculated the U.S. military presence in Mexico could increase as a result of lithium deposits due to interest in procuring the mineral ore to create more electric cars. So the U.S. wants to put more of our military in there to put pressure on Mexico. Interesting. It'd be interesting to be able to see if Mexico will actually go through with this, because they're already rebuking a bunch of crap we have. Cobalt nickel. Unlike lithium, which is usually harvested from brine, saltwater pools, cobalt and nickel are usually mined underground. Interesting. Depending on the mining methods used, these mines can physically disturb or even completely destroy local habitats. Chemical byproducts of mining often pollute surrounding soils, rivers, and drinking water. According to the Washington Post, most of the world's cobalt deposits are found in the Congo region. About 60% of the world cobalt supply comes from there. So where all the rainforests are, or a good chunk of them. So we have to be able to strip down the rainforest in order to be able to get to the cobalt, huh? Great. Miners in poor countries like the Congo also experience unsafe working conditions. Tunnel collapses are common, and there's a lot of deaths. There's a high level of birth defects related to the exposure of toxic mining activities. Yeah, if all of a sudden, everyone around there is in these horrible conditions and stuff like that, you know how many mutated babies and just living conditions would be horrible. You want to be able to raise your children in that type of environment? Yeah, I don't think you are. Battery charging. The power you put in your EV is only as clean as the grid from which it's drawn. Uh-oh. Like if you're in California where renewable sources of power like wind and solar contribute significantly to the network when they're working properly, your EV will be cleaner than it would be somewhere else where coal power is a primary source of energy. Yeah, just ask anybody how it is in California with recharging stations and even just being able to charge. However, based on the average United States electricity mix, EVs are cleaner than comparable gasoline vehicles in general in the US. Well, I would imagine so. If all you're doing is driving it around, yeah, most of the negative impacts are already gone because there's, you're extracting all the batteries and all the acid and brine and all this stuff, wherever. And then once when it's actually done, then it's pretty clean. The lithium-ion battery can contain corrosive chemicals and dissolved metals. No kidding, the batteries. That's what they are. Dissolved metals. That's how you get electricity. If these batteries aren't disposed of properly, which is a big expense, then they can eventually leak chemicals into your surrounding soil. Kind of like what we do with radioactive material from the nuclear reactors. Well, you can get that and some of that just out of these things. Isn't that great? Especially with the number of batteries and stuff that are going to be needing to be able to be extracted. Yeah, it's going to get very expensive. Yeah, what's more, if a lithium-ion battery is damaged or punctured, yeah, because nobody gets into car accidents. No. The battery could react and create enough heat to eventually cause a major chemical fire. You may have seen these videos on phone batteries exploding or catching on fire. It's the same concept here. Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. Why weren't we interested in just simply creating propane vehicles? You wouldn't have this problem, and we could still use our same stuff. I just don't get it. While EV battery packs are recyclable, currently less than 5% of lithium-ion batteries are actually recycled. Less than 5%. Other than that, they're what they were stating up above. That's just a huge, just a mess. Pollutants and yeah, only less than 5% of them are actually recycled. Nice. Lithium batteries in EVs are a relatively difficult item to recycle. For starters, these battery packs are huge, up to 2,000 pounds. And different battery manufacturers use different methods of battery assembly. Oh, that can cause problems. A lot of problems. Thus, many e-waste recyclers don't have the technology to properly recycle these batteries. And most of the recycling work would have to be done painstakingly by hand. Yeah, you wouldn't touch battery acid and dissolved metals and all this crap and whatever with your hands? Not a good idea. There's hope though. Oh, of course there is. Most batteries will remain useful after the lifespan in EV. They'll just hold less charge than when they were new. So used EV batteries can still be reused to store power, for example, as a solar battery. You can try and reuse them for something on the second market. Once when they're done with their lifespan as a car battery, possibly sell them to somebody with solar, solar on their house, and good luck. So those won't resell very well. Tesla has also committed to expanding its operations to allow more batteries to be recycled. The suggested plan involves looping a vast network of partners in to create processing centers that will repurpose the raw materials in the bulky car batteries. It sounds promising, but it's also just one on a long list of promises Tesla's yet to realize. Well, at least they're trying. I'll do that for anybody. At least they're trying. Summary of main takeaways and key statistics. Okay, let's talk about all this crap, right? Electric car batteries are lithium-ion batteries, which mainly contain lithium compounds like lithium carbonate. They may also contain materials like cobalt and other chemical additives or dissolved metals. Manufacturing an electric vehicle similar to a Tesla Model, 6 tons of CO2 equivalent emissions. 68% more than the production of a gas car. Wow. Most of these emissions come from producing the battery. Remember we talked about that. And that's not even, that's way in, way, before even trying to be able to put this stuff together. It takes 500,000 gallons of water to refine 1 ton of lithium carbonate. The chemicals and processes used in mining lithium create air, water, and soil pollution. Trifecta. Less than 5% of lithium-ion batteries are recycled. Oh, that's glorious. So most of the stuff is just thrown away and so that and leak and pollute our air, water, and soil. Isn't that nice? What a future! What a bright future we're sending to our kids. However, even when taking this into account, the extra environmental damage from electric car batteries, the average electric car in the USA produces about half the total emissions of a comparable gasoline car. Interesting. I mean, there's more to it, but it's just, how much of this of it do you want to be able to leave to your future children? To me, it just for me, it just seems like we need to be able to change our where we're wanting to go. Right now, all of our lawmakers and some of that really is just for money. At least it seems that way. They're going down, and we don't even have the structure necessary to even be able to actually charge these things. If all of a sudden we had a serious 25% increase, we wouldn't be. California is almost a third-rate country when it comes down to electricity, anyways. Do you know that California actually has rolling blackouts? Even scheduled days where there's no power in California. It's like a third world country over there. But, they're the progressives, I don't know. I just don't know. Personally, none of this is starting to sound like it's a good idea. To me, it's what made more sense was doing the propane. We could be able to wean off of gasoline and so that be able to go to all natural gas, propane. And we wouldn't even have to change much for our cars. It'd be easy. But we want to go this route. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. But, this is what's going on. And so they're trying to be able to pin it down to 2035. It's not that far away. It's only 13 years from now. And then all of a sudden, poof, electric cars. Those are your only choices. Yeah. Because they're going to try and be able to ban all that stuff. They'll put in all these emission controls that you gotta, remember some of that, it's like a number of years ago, they were trying to be able to put all this, emissions crap on their cars. So there's, in order to be able to renew your plates and stuff like that, you had to be able to get, my car passes the emissions. Yeah, you know how many times and so that people will pay them an extra, find the right station, pay them an extra $25, and then miraculously all of a sudden your car passed. Yeah, nobody did it. Just saying. All right, because this is just, yeah, it just seems silly. All right, but this is what's going on. So, all right, you guys, and so that, till next time, you guys have a great one, and I'll keep you updated of what's going on. Okay, you have a great one. Bye bye.